super tired, and this is going to be mostly vibes than memory. What's new? Hey, Lucy.
Nope.
Okay, I'm with you. Welcome to Cyclops is Waiting for Me, an X-Men animated recap podcast with Wolverine and the X-Men, episode 8, Time Bomb. I'm going to be up front. I'm Rod, and I'm going to be up front. I don't understand this episode, really. I mean, I understand what happens in it. I don't understand why, but I guess we'll get into it.
And I'm JC. You can find me on all social media at the John Carl, TheJohnCarle. Not Carly, because I grew up with people calling me that. Cyclops is Waiting for Me is our bi-weekly podcast series. We're going back and watching every single X-Men animated episode we can find. This podcast started with the original 1992 X-Men the Animated Series, which was building up to the release of X-Men 97. Along the way, we completed X-Men Evolution, and we launched our companion podcast show, which is all interviews, called the Xavier Files. And now, because we know that X-Men 97 Season 2, which I think would be funny if they called it X-Men 98, but that I don't think they're going to, is dropping in 2026. We're dedicating the entirety of this year to Wolverine and the X-Men.
You know, it's funny. New Rockstars actually had a fun conversation about, is it going to be called X-Men 97 or 98? Mm-hmm. Because would you just go by years? But then they were like, it probably depends on Hollywood politics, right? So there's some circumstances where royalties could be worked out different and stuff, and
right. That's where if something went more than 3 seasons, like that's why they would switch the name, because like raises would have to take place in certain shows and stuff like that too.
Yeah, because are there certain circumstances where stuff is like our awards, like it's a limited series for a certain award season, but then it gets renewed for a second season. They can just say like, well, we were planning on being limited for this is all the stuff that those guys talked about. They know the inside baseball that I don't.
I'm a judge on the Streamy Awards, and I have to watch videos that are not long-term series, so I don't have any input into actual like TV judging and such. So
just a bunch of like insensitive pranks.
I will say they don't get a lot of pranks in the submissions in the most recent awards. So
that's something nice about social media. Like as time went on, it's still there, but like at least it's grown a bit. I feel like the audience has been like, we've seen enough of these fake pranks.
You know what wasn't fake prank though? It's about a month old, or actually 2 months by the time this goes live. When I Show Speed popped up in WWE's Royal Rumble. And he got speared by Braun Breaker, and I hope he's doing okay.
Wait, was this the Royal Rumble in Indiana?
Yes, the one that your family went to. Yeah.
I was gonna say my niece got to see this. Like, I don't know, my 10-year-old niece is like, I guess, a WWE fan, which I'm so happy for, because that's the thing her and my brother have. That's their father-daughter thing, and she got to meet her favorite wrestler, which I already forgot, but
Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley. Sorry, Rhea. I'm just not in that world. But for some reason, if this gets back to you, you made my niece's year with that photo and everything. It was her Christmas present to be able to go to Royal Rumble and meet her. So they had the time of their lives. I'm not in that world, but I'm happy that they were in Indianapolis, not like New York or something.
I'm just going to add that a lot of our friends who don't even watch wrestling, Rhea is also their favorite wrestler too. So
cool.
Yeah. Here, Rod, enjoy seeing this before we could get into the show.
Uh-oh.
Dude is like the fucking juggernaut.
Oh, that guy.
Yep.
Yeah, he's not okay.
Yeah.
I haven't met him, but we've crossed paths in some bigger creator friends things, and I'm not saying he's frail, but he's not as solid as that dude that just clotheslined him.
Just speared him out of his soul.
Yeah. Anyway, so some quick reminders. We're a recap show about a series that started over 15 years ago. There will be spoilers. If you don't want spoiled for you, pause the podcast, watch the episode, and come back. And we're currently not sponsored by or affiliated with Marvel Animation, Disney, or Disney Plus in any way. Speaking of Disney Plus, we're about halfway through Daredevil at the time this is airing, right? Hopefully it's still great. I think we both... have you gone past the first episode yet?
First 2. Yep.
Oh, you had the first 2?
Yep.
So I think we both like it, at least the first episode. Holy crap, that first 15 minutes. What the...
Yeah. It's an emotional show.
Yeah, we won't put any spoilers in there. Nope. I will say, like,
it's too new that I don't want to spoil that for people.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will say, like, I think the 2 episodes, I like when they stagger release, like, numbers and stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. Having the first 2 come out first was a nice way to kind of set up expectations, because not that the second one, I think, is, like, weak or anything, but...
it's a different storytelling style of episode. Yeah.
For anybody that doesn't know, this outside of LA, this show had not, like, a bunch of reshoots, but, like, one overhaul, right, of the story. And you can tell that the first episode replaced whatever original pilot they had. Mm-hmm. And then the second episode had some inserts of stuff that needed to happen, but overall felt like the original second episode, or one of the original episodes or something. So it kind of gave us a taste of, like, okay, so this is the hopefully flavor between these two of the show. But it's good to see everybody back again. I'm not quite sure if I agree with the claims before that it's just as or more brutal or gritty than the original one, but they do get the shock value out of it. I will say that. Like, I winced in real life watching it. If you know, like, ooh, okay, they got it.
The only thing I will say with regard to that is, obviously, the thing that gets compared to everything from a violent fight scenario, because it was some of the best fight choreo of anything that has been produced by an American studio, was the hallway fight. Mm-hmm. I don't think we got the here's your hallway fight yet by the end of episode 2. I think the fight that you do see in episode 1 is solid. I do not think that's the hallway fight moment for this series, though. So,
do you think that they attempted to make it that, though? Because it felt like they tried.
I think it was inspired by the hallway fight, but I think what is going to be the most memorable and brutal fight that we get will be later in the series. And there are probably people right now who have already watched it, as our future selves have, who are screaming at it because they're like, it was in episode 5, whatever the fuck that ends up being. So,
or this, if you were listening to this after the series is over, like, holy crap, they didn't do it.
Yeah. Way to go, John. Your predictions suck. Why didn't you predict that fucking Matt Murdock was actually a mutant Ninja Turtle like Rod did? Right. And then I just throw my phone into the fucking street.
Watch that be the prediction you make.
Fuck you, Rod.
The Ninja Turtles will pop out of the...
I hate you.
Although, I will say, because I think, wasn't the report that the first season got split into 2 seasons? So the second season might have some stuff that we expect to see in the first. It wasn't supposed to be something crazy like 18 episodes or something. I
don't think I followed it as closely as you did.
I think originally it was supposed to be like a really like a traditional Netflix, series where it was like the 20 some odd episodes or whatever, or close to 20 episodes. But then when they retooled it, they split it into 2 seasons or something. But overall, great. Like Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are like amazing. And also shout out to Justine, Lily, and the Newton Brothers for the score. They killed it. Like, well, the Newton Brothers for the score. Lily also got some vocalizations on this, and Justine and the music supervision team. I messaged her right as the first episode ended. Like, you got TV on the radio as a closing song. That was so cool. That's a deep cut for Disney.
Where are we in the script? I don't even remember.
I think it's Don't Forget. Yeah.
That was such a tangent off of it. I literally forgot whose part it was. Don't forget to follow us on social media with smaller contained things like opening of X-Men 97 packs on Cyclops, IWFM Pod on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, maybe TikTok. Who fucking knows at this point?
And now onto the show. Today we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 8, titled Time Bomb. It aired on March 6, 2009, and currently sits at a 7.5 star rating on IMDb. I guess if this is to introduce a new character, I was not familiar with the character. I don't know why I closed that. I'm going to need at the end of the episode. We'll come back.
You should. You don't know it off the top of your head?
Yeah. This character I wasn't familiar with before.
So that was what I was looking up right at the start of this episode before we started recording. I'm not shocked you don't know the character. The character was really not a meaningful character until 2006, 2007. Okay. Do you know what happened in 2006, 2007 in the comics?
I don't know.
The Civil War. The original comic version of Civil War. Nitro is the inciting incident that led to the Superhuman Registration Act in the comics.
Okay. So So he would have been important. Okay, I could see why they put him in here then.
So for anybody who wants a quick comic book history lesson, and there are definitely comic book fan videos, podcasts, etc., who could give you a better breakdown of this, but the Civil War started because the group of heroes called the New Warriors flubbed a mission as they were going after a group of supervillains, as they were literally recording themselves for a TV reality show, because reality shows were hyper relevant in 2006. The fight breaks out in Stamford, Connecticut, which literally miles from where I grew up, and blows up an entire neighborhood because he's so strong with his powers.
Oh, so this was the Scarlet Witch thing in the movies
to a much more massive scale. Yes.
Yeah, but that's what that replaced from the MCU. Got it.
Yep. Okay. To the point where they also always specifically mention a school was blown up during that tragedy. So.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So on this episode, the previously on focused on basically Rogue going to the Brotherhood, showing some of the Brotherhood stuff. Emma, basically all the people that are kind of kind of have ulterior motives. Mm-hmm. Or double H, I don't know, just the shady ones.
Right. You also get some of that moment back and forth where Rogue is accusing Logan of abandoning her before she joins the Brotherhood. And then we get the reminder about the Xavier Mission of the Week theory, which we were only right about for one episode.
Yeah. And I guess kind of this one.
I would say this one does fall into that category, yeah. But it was one episode and then 3 off episodes before we got back to it.
And then the intro happens, which is cool, but we always skip it. We're going to skip these, and somebody in the comments will be like, oh, that's the one they revealed, something,
Yeah.
Okay, whatever, we missed it. I don't know what this place is called. I called it the Raft because I'm in the MCU world, and I don't know where else they put all the superpowered people. So whatever version of that is in here.
So the Raft is usually on the water. That's the only concession to the Raft. It could be the Triskelion as well, but it's not given a formal name. It also seems like it is very much specific to MRD as opposed to Raft or Triskelion, which house all superpowered villains or high profile crime bosses and stuff like that. So I don't think it has a name, so I don't think you've missed anything.
Okay. And the security is getting a notification of a potential intruder. Not someone who's breaking in, but just someone casually wandering on to the premises, which is probably also startling because I'm going to guess that they're either somewhat secretive, so they're just kind of surprised to see someone walk up.
Yep. After you've seen Toad, who's just being a dickhead in his cell, meaning in between the last time we saw him and now he has gotten captured again. The 2 times we've seen Toad get introduced in an episode, it's because he has been captured by the MRD.
Oh, you know what's funny is he gets captured so much. I just assumed that I've forgotten about whatever capture we saw last time.
Yeah, because remember he was in the back of the police car as his first intro.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And then the guards all go to the front door when they open it up, and it's this kid who, if I hadn't already seen Magneto, I would have thought they were introducing a young Magneto, because he did look very young, but they did not help me with the designs.
Or it looked like a unhoused version of Quicksilver, too. But this Quicksilver, we know the way he's built, he's a more muscular version. He's still lean, but he's a little more top-heavy. This felt a little emaciated, kind of.
Yeah, it was a white hair, but also later on when you see his outfit, it's the same shades of maroon and purple and stuff, and very similar block kind of designs, but it wasn't him. But this I'm going to say kid because he seemed pretty young. Said he wants to be taken in because he's a danger to everyone else.
Yep. And the guard who was doing the interrogations in that first episode, the one who has the scarred face from Logan, presumably, is there and is running this the facility still.
Mm-hmm. And so they do take him in, but they're just going to put him in a regular cell. And when I say regular cell, you've seen this episode. It has the electron beams or whatever or something.
But the standard cell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something that Toad shows later, he can reach his arm through between the beams and stuff. And then the kid is like, you can't put me around other people. And for some reason, the guards don't believe him. It's always funny when there's situations where someone's asking for something that's like more, like worse than what they're going to get. It's like, you're not even going to consider what he's saying.
Well, it's not the one-to-one same thing, but there is also that whole like phenomena that happens of like there's a killer on the loose or something like that, and other people like turn themselves in and say like, oh, I was the serial killer, and it's like, oh, dude, you weren't even alive yet, you could have been that person. So there's an untrustworthy thing to them like turning themselves in. He's like, I'm the most powerful mutant on the planet, and it's like, yeah, Toad says he's the most powerful mutant on the planet too. Get in the fucking cell. Yeah,
I guess it's like when he's saying he can't be around other people, it's like I don't know a whole lot of people are asking for like solitary confinement or what we see them put him in later,
right?
And they don't believe him, and so as they're resisting, he starts getting kind of like, it's kind of like a little bit of like the Hulk thing where he gets angry, you see his eyes light up, and then the electricity around his head, and something's about to happen. So he gets away from the guards, he runs out, and then Toad actually for some reason licks his hand before he like sticks to the walls.
Yep. It's kind of like those the toys that you would like, you'd have to get the suction cup sticky to stick to all the windows kind of scenario.
Like the Nightcrawler that nobody can probably sees right behind my head here on the Sentinel.
No, definitely can't see him from here.
But he climbs up and he can see through like a slit in the wall, which is another like security. I feel like a security flaw for like a maximum security prison. But he can see, I guess, Nitro run outside and just explode in the courtyard. He like leaves a crater in the middle of the ground. Then it cuts away to Logan waking up from sleep by Xavier
in the astral plane specifically.
Yeah. Well, like I thought like when it was on his eyes, he was in the mansion, but then like when he does like awaken, it's in the astral plane.
Yep.
And Logan actually makes it a point to say like, it's been a while.
I love that it's like literally asking it for us as the audience of like, cool, where you been since we went to Africa, dude?
Yeah. And that's it for that little section.
Yep. He's like, oh yeah, the future's pretty hostile. That's all we get.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like, it's taking me a while to figure out, but that doesn't track because it's time travel. You can it doesn't flow at the same speed. Like you could have gone back to a minute after they finished the storm stuff and kept it going. Anyway, then we go back to the prison that I keep calling the raft in my notes. And
sorry, one quick note. He specifically says that he's going to have to ask them to do something that goes against everything he has ever preached in the past.
Yeah.
Very,
very edgy.
Very Xavier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just needs to roll in at the last moment. Like, well, so back at the knot raft, the Nitro is sedated. And I guess, are they putting him in the tube yet? I can't remember. I think.
I put mutant in chamber, so yes.
So they put him in the tube. That's how he's sedated. Then for some reason, they just leave all these doors open, and we see what we know is Quicksilver running in. And I'm thinking the same thing Toad's saying. He's like, oh, cool, you're here to rescue me. And Quicksilver says what you just said. He's like, no, you always get caught.
Yep.
Blob just wanted to see a reaction.
Yeah.
He gets out his cannon power shot and takes a
Yes. It was the camera everybody had in 2008. I loved that they literally pulled out that specific era of camera, because you don't see those anymore. Like, and now if you have a camera, you have like a nice camera for video recording, but nobody has like a power shot anymore. You don't need them. So
yeah, it's funny. I was actually the last couple days hanging out with a couple mutual friends of ours, Nathan and Anna. And Anna, she was born in 2002, and so we were having this discussion of how life was, and I was talking about this era, like 2008, 2009. Like I'm going out to concerts and stuff. So I was like, so my holy trinity of going out was my phone, my iPod, and my power shot. So the iPod would go in the car to listen to music, and then the phone and the power shot would go with me to the concert, so I could take pictures and have my texting device with me, my Razor specifically. And I know some people had iPhones at this point, and stuff, but like I don't feel like it was quite as ubiquitous just yet.
I mean, the first iPhone, like it had like 12 apps on it that were all just from Apple. Like it wasn't even open marketplace for apps and stuff. So
and it was just AT&T for a couple versions, right? 3 versions or something like that.
Something like that.
So yeah, it is wild because it wasn't that long ago, but it was.
Yep.
Anyway, so he takes the picture. Toad is like, before he leaves, he's like, "Wait, what if I know how I can help you with your secret mission?"
That the job that you said we can't pull off.
Yeah, and Quicksilver runs out to. We find out Blob and Avalanche. Why did I say like Avalanche?
Avalanche.
Are waiting outside.
I love they're within line of sight of the mutant detecting like team. Like and they're not well hidden. Like Blob, I would see in the distance, and I'm half blind. So
yeah, they're on an uncovered hill
next to a tree
in costumes. Like in their costumes, and so they're like, "Oh, did you get the picture?" And Quicksilver is like, "We do, but we're gonna break him out." He's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yep, he's still on the team.
Yeah, he's still on the team, and he has a way for us to do the thing we want to do. So they break in to get him out. They take the kid, I keep calling him the kid, the Nitro.
Yep,
they break out Nitro.
I gotta say, I love how they went and did it, where Quicksilver, after Nitro creates a big distraction by actually like busting in with like a pseudo earthquake thing, he grabs every single security card from all of the people as he's knocking him out, and he brute forces by just swiping all of them with the key card, and then he does the thing that we all wish we could do in like an escape room, where you just brute force the passcode of like 11111, 11112, 11113. He literally just does it so fast that it brute forces the passway through to raise Nitro up. I love that they did that.
That actually made me realize something about Quicksilver I had never thought about before when he was doing the password thing. Was like, he cognitively has to run really fast too.
Yep. Very similar to Barry Allen's story with the Flash, that he's living. If he has to move at the speed of a regular person, he feels like he's living in slow motion.
Yeah, so it's like he is super smart, but not in the traditional sense. Just because he's smart because his processing runs faster than everybody else's, not because of the storage.
Not because he's necessarily. He's moving at a fast clip, but he's not necessarily wiser than other people. Yeah.
So they take Nitro out back at Cerebro. Cyclops is yelling at Emma for not finding Jean fast enough, and
that's our Scott.
Yeah, it's funny, and I haven't seen the Scott Emma situation, but I've heard it described from like you and a bunch of other people so much. It's funny seeing this like little quarrel right here. Yeah.
That situation.
Yeah. It's funny seeing this little quarrel right here, because it's like, what if Emma can't find Jean? Then what happens? You know.
I'm not going to do the hand sign again.
And then Emma's basically like. She says it much nicer, but she's like, she might be dead. And
then she's like, yeah, we're done. And Scott's like, what? You're just giving up? And she's like, nope. It's like she just hits this like pseudo like poshy bitchy version of Emma so well. Yeah. Because it's like, no, it's not because I'm done. It's because of this. And then Wolverine walks in and is like, I need you to do this thing for me.
Yeah. And Logan says she needs Emma to find the Brotherhood, and he's like, and Cyclops is like, what? And Logan's like, well, we have to rescue this kid that they broke out of this facility, and then give him back. And Cyclops is like, what? No, like that goes. And Cyclops is ready to storm out because he's like, we're not gonna rescue a kid just to turn him back into the government that we're trying to be free from. He's like, Xavier came to me and said that if we don't do this thing, then half of all mutants get wiped out. There's a weird logistical thing with this when they explain what was going to happen later.
Yeah, I was legit like because he's gonna blow up half the world and like population distribution. Like I was very not sure, but I was happy with the payoff that we do get later. Yeah. So yeah.
Then we cut away to another facility. This for a second was confusing for me because it looked very similar to the previous one, but this one's another MRD facility.
It reminded me a little bit of the desert facility from Captain Marvel, where it was just like, here's a random base in the desert, because the desert's by New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Rogue and Domino are scoping out the area. Domino, okay, I think I'm finding something I'm not loving about the show is Domino's presence, because she's not exhibiting any luck powers anymore. As this episode specifically keeps going along, nothing goes in her favor.
I would argue when they break into the facility, every shot is a perfect shot. So there is a level of luck to that.
Stuff of that. Or also maybe it's that I'm used to the movie Domino and how she kind of struts her way around.
Where it's like falling through life style of luck. Yeah.
But we kind of saw that in the early episodes when she just like fell down the catwalk and like landed. But this one, like, she'll be upset and surprised by stuff happening. I'm like, wait, you were supposed to be lucky in that moment though. Like, but
this one feels a lot more accurate to comic Domino for me, which is why I do like this. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
And so
also massive boob window.
Yeah. Boob window. It's another metal band name.
Which I believe the first time I heard that was in reference to Power Girl from DC Comics, actually.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yep.
And this is where we get the name drop that the kid that I've been talking about is Nitro. Blob breaks into the facility just by brute force. They just like rips open like the cell doors and stuff.
Real fast. They do have a quick like back and forth between Rogue and Quicksilver, where Rogue is really starting to show dissent for what he's doing. And Quicksilver is trying to use like we didn't kidnap him, we liberated him. Yeah. And like, it's nothing he's saying is technically inaccurate, but it's all manipulative. So it's very gaslighty with that regard,
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they take the kid so they break into the facility. They don't take the kid. They take the kid into the facility, and like you said, Rogue wants to help him, and then he's like, "That's fine." Then the Quicksilver just like yeets him into an elevator shaft.
Yeah, like hope you don't die.
Then the explosion happens, and we find out in the middle of all that this was the archives for the mutant registry.
Yep.
And so we've evolved a little bit from the 90s where it's not a singular floppy disk, but now it's one facility.
Sir, that was one computer tower. That was not just a floppy disk.
Yeah. One computer. So now it's a whole facility with no network backup anywhere. And they blew it up, so I guess good on them. And then Quicksilver...
It was a closed network. You can't risk hackers. Come on.
And then Quicksilver runs in and grabs the kids like, see, he's fine. I love this next cutaway because it almost has nothing to do with anything else except for who they're getting. And I kind of knew who it was based on like how they showed her powers. But we see this like lady eating at a cafe that is vaguely European, but there's like an American cop, so I don't know where maybe they're in the Northeast or something.
It felt like a New York cafe. Yeah.
So she's enjoying coffee and like reading something, and she sees a mom run out with her kids. Trying to plead to a meter maid to not give her a ticket. She's like, I just ran in, I have kids, and the kids are screaming and stuff, and the meter maid... The
kid screaming was the most annoying audio possible, and I get what it's doing, because yes, it's supposed to be him screaming is what makes her make her decision. I don't think she would have given a shit if it was just the mom by herself, but the kid screaming, I'm just like, I don't know, make the kid run into traffic or something like that.
You're with Deadpool.
Yeah, I'm a Deadpool right now.
So
also, did you notice the guy in the background who is literally like angrily typing on his laptop too?
I didn't see that.
Yeah. It was very much like the people you would hate to be by at a Starbucks was the vibe I was getting here. So
and so they're really trying to get you to be empathetic to his mom, because she probably just had to run. I think even she said run in, like use the bathroom or something, or drop something off or whatever. And the meter maid is still just writing the ticket. Fairly modern though, had a machine instead of like the writing pad. One of my old roommates, actually right around this time, was a police cadet going to the academy and was a meter maid as one of the early jobs and used those machines. So I was like, oh, I'm familiar with that.
Wasn't there a reality show at one point that's like, it wasn't like the 2006 reality shows, like before they were creatively bankrupt, but like 2012, 2013, there was literally a show that was just like following meter maids around.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that. But
I feel like I've seen it like floating through like shorts or Instagram or something like that.
Wow, that sounds incredibly boring. Because
because everybody wants to fight them, so it's actually fun.
Because my roommate,
it's not fun for them, but it's fun for the show.
I got a lot of insight, at least for the cops in that, or the meter maids in that area that I lived in, of like when not to worry about tickets and stuff. Like, 'cause at least there, I can't speak for everywhere else. He was like, yeah, if it's raining, you're probably not gonna get a ticket because they don't want to like deal with it. But then also like, there's certain seasons where it's harder to hit quotas of stuff, and so you're more likely to get a ticket. Anyway,
Right.
So this meter maid is like still printing a ticket out, but then like you see the woman that we sitting at the cafe, and she gets like the butterfly, like beam
effect,
or whatever, on her face. Is like, oh, this is Psylocke, and then you just see like the meter maid like print out the ticket, crumple it up, and like eat it, and then hand the machine to the baby, which was the funniest little detail.
And hand the hat to the other kid.
Oh yeah, put the hat on the kid. The hat on the kid made sense, but she handed the parking ticket thing to the kid. Baby, so funny.
I will say, because of Marvel Rivals being as popular as it is right now, I get like a knee-jerk like scared reaction when the butterfly thing pops up around Psylocke's head, because that means I'm about to die. Because I'm not good with Psylocke. I actually am really good with the healers for some reason, which is the opposite of me as a human. But if a Psylocke gets to the back line where I'm healing and I cannot get away, and I'm 99% screwed at that point, and just the little butterfly effect is chasing me around the map. So.
It's funny. So then Quicksilver pops up. Actually, I think even Psylocke recognizes like this gust of wind, and she's like, ugh.
Yep.
And Quicksilver basically recruits her, and she's like, so I figure you're here to collect on your favor.
Yeah, because he has apparently broken her out in the past, and her using her power is gonna get her caught again, as Pietro not so eloquently puts it.
Yeah, so she doesn't fight it. She goes and goes with him to pay her dues. Then we're back with Kitty. Emma is helping Kitty and Logan find the Brotherhood. They locate them. Wolverine's
they go to the vault and they're just late for it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And Wolverine's like, okay, cool. Well, tell Forge to come on over, or whatever. And then we see Forge working on something, and then Emma walks by and says like, oh, he's not here. So then it's like, okay, so she's got something.
Yeah.
She realized she didn't tell them that they have a psychic. Yeah, psychic with them.
Telepath.
Yep. Yeah, telepath.
Yeah, they don't say psychic because psychic is precognition.
They have a telepath with them. She like whispers it to herself as she's taking Cerebro off, and then she lies about Forge not being there. She's like, "But I'm heading over." And then we see the Brotherhood going to their next location, and they're going to Genosha, and it seems like it's because Quicksilver wants to impress Magneto.
Yes.
About catching Nitro.
But apparently they've also had their like separation, like estrangement from each other, because it was like, last time your dad didn't really want you to be there, right? And he's like, well, this will impress him. So it's what we've seen from Pietro a lot in, other shows where he's like trying to still impress his dad. Like there's something about it. He's like, as much as he might hate Magneto in certain cases, he still wants his father's approval. We also see on the plane that Psylocke is essentially trying to like suppress Nitro's power in his head right now, basically like putting a cork on a bottle scenario.
And she straight up says she's never done it before, which I don't know if that would be the time in the air that you would want to like test that.
Yeah, and his like Nitro's like grossly like sweating from it and stuff like that. And Rogue is like, yeah, this is like totally worth a shot, right?
Nitro asks Rogue, like, why are you with these people? Yeah. Like, it's complicated.
And then it's that perfect timing where the plane starts to freeze up, and it's like, okay, cool, Bobby's here.
Yeah. then we see the Blackbird fly overhead, and they're like, oh crap, the X-Men are here. And Bobby's doing it from the plane, so he's like super powered. Mm-hmm. All of them are.
Like we talked about, it's not a thing at this time, but in the mid 2010s, Bobby escalated to being Omega level. So
yeah, but I love this sequence. Gave me a little bit of the coordination of the team that X-Men 97's pilot did with the team.
Yep.
Because like they froze the plane, Kitty phases through the Blackbird into the other plane, and then phases Nitro back through the floor to where the Blackbird has gone underneath, like flown over and then underneath their plane.
It's a fantastic action sequence, no doubt.
Yeah, so they just basically in one movement phased Nitro out of one plane into another, and then starts to crash.
Yes.
But Bobby...
Because Domino, in response, has perfect shots. And again, that's where it's a little more subtle, like, oh, she's just really skilled. It's like, no, she's shooting out of a moving plane at another moving plane with a handgun. There's a little bit of luck to how, like, that's not pure skill.
Yeah.
So,
and then Bobby saves a Blackbird, but by creating, like, ice... this is one of the cartoon logic things. It's like, it seems very hard, but, it's fine. They didn't go into the water. I think at this point, they're like... It feels like the writers are purposely destroying the Blackbird every time it shows up, just to give Forge, like, a
reason to exist.
Yeah. Then when they crash land, Nitro tries to get away. Logan takes him... they try to stop him, but he's like, no, you have to, like, let me go because I can't be around people. Logan's like, I'm going to deal with him. The rest of you get the Brotherhood.
Who have also successfully landed their plane on a giant patch of ice, too. This isn't like it's like a dirt field or like a pasture or something like that. They literally land on ice.
And then Blob immediately destroys their own plane, which I don't know how they're planning on getting back.
Okay, so important question here. How did he get into the plane in the first place?
I had the same question, because he...
Yeah.
The only thing I could say is like if this version of Blob is somewhat malleable or whatever, but
I don't think he is.
The point that he was trying to make was he was too big to go through. That's why he ripped the door open and no one had a problem with it. But how did he get in the first place?
I literally wrote that down. How did Blob get into the plane? Because it's a small jet. That's a private jet scenario. That is not that's not a cargo plane, which is the only thing that has a door big enough for Blob to fit through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, they run out, and then there's a bunch of fights start. I tried to write down as many matchups as I could. I'm sure I missed some, but I have Psylocke fighting Emma, which makes sense. Quicksilver fighting...
Who gets punked out by Emma. Like, she literally gets tossed around by her, no problem.
Then Quicksilver fights Logan and Cyclops. Blob fights Storm and Beast. Storm... this is when it's tough to have superpowered characters, because... Storm could have done so much more in the rest of this, but I feel like they just have her here for the end.
Yeah, because she gets, like, whacked really, really quickly, too. Yeah. Like, I was actually worried. I was like, oh, my God, Rod is going to hate this because they just totally punked out Storm.
And then Kitty phases Domino's guns away, which is a good way to take... But see, that was one of those things, like, I guess it's not really a luck thing or an unfortunate thing, but just, I don't know, I feel like she would have been luckier.
I love the interaction that happens at this point where it's Pietro and Logan going back and forth, and Logan literally calls Pietro stupid.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, because he was like, Rogue is over to Nitro trying to like help him as he's like starting to like overload, and Pietro's like, oh shit, I didn't know this was gonna happen, and Logan literally calls him stupid.
That's right, yeah, and that's when Storm creates like a whirlwind, not quite a tornado, and like
there is a quick moment where Quicksilver looks like he's gonna go at Wolverine, and Wolverine is about to commit murder, and Bobby saves Quicksilver by freezing him in place, like right before Logan's claws would have punctured Quicksilver's body.
The writers share our frustration because they intended to kill him. Yeah.
I love there's with that moment, Logan's reaction is yelling at people to stop saving him.
Stop saving me.
Toad is like, I'm just going to stay in the plane because we're not going to beat these guys.
Yeah.
And that's where Nitro starts to go nuclear. So
Yeah, and then Storm whirlwinds him up in the air, and it seems like maybe that was the point of her getting knocked around a bit. She's kind of straining to get him up, because we've seen Storm do like a lot more, but she's kind of slow to get him up, because I feel like a more powerful Storm would have just like
whooshed him up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and gets him barely out of blast distance. As he explodes, and then he like lands on the ground. I feel bad for this dude, because it feels like he both can't control it, and it takes everything out of him every time it happens.
Yeah, which is a very different version than the comic Nitro, because comic Nitro is like, oh no, I'm going to set myself off and fuck all the collateral damage. This version is definitely a more empathetic version of Nitro. He is not a villain by choice kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And that's where we do get the, if we hadn't stopped you, you would have been on Genosha already. That must mean that the vast majority of the world's mutant population is on that island, which we know is a bad idea.
Feels like that isn't logistically possible to have every mutant. Also, we've seen so many mutants not on Genosha, So unless maybe it wasn't, maybe he was just talking figuratively, not figuratively, like kind of in rough estimates, like half is like.
I mean, could it be the scenario where, like, when you're talking about the mutants we've seen outside of Genosha, we've seen a couple dozen at most at this point. And if Genosha is a population, I want to say in the comics, they said it was like 6 million or something. I could be wrong on that number. But if you have a couple hundred outside of Genosha, 6 million in Genosha, if you kill half of Genosha, the math still works out that it's close to half the population, maybe.
Yeah. But so I guess get the point. Like, they were going to take Nitro to Genosha. It was going to do bad things. It was going to
result in a lot of mutants dying. So
yeah, and this was the first episode that felt like it delivered on the implicit promise we had from Xavier a few episodes ago.
Yeah,
because this technically this feels like how shows used to be like in the 90s for us, where like we could watch it out of order. And it still makes sense, but it still did follow like an overall continuity. Like, with the exception of maybe some like power sets and stuff, and maybe Rogue's storyline, you could have missed this, and then gone back to it, and it wouldn't have been like a huge deal or something. Yeah,
considering we don't know where Rogue is going with her storyline, then like maybe that's the only thing of like if she does jump back over by, let's call it the half season mark or something like that. But yeah, like they're like, cool, we're taking him in. She like awkwardly waves to him, and Wolverine just like doesn't even react to her as he walks by.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they take Nitro back to the MRD. They put him back in that little tank thing, and and Nitro lives every millennial's dream of just sleeping.
After we get a really sad moment between Beast and Logan, where like Beast knows it's the right thing because he's the most logical guy, but still doesn't feel good about having to do it. So, yeah. But isn't there like a subtle like smile like on Nitro's face in the tube? Like it's not a full-fledged like this, but he's like there's a smirk there. I feel like
probably I would feel the same way. Like I'd be like, oh, I get to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice.
I was gonna say that's all we have to do for you is literally just put you in a tube, and you're like, thank you.
Yeah. I love sensory deprivation chambers. That's basically what he got to go into.
So I've never been in one of those. So
it's a weird thing. I know if people listening, like if you've never been in, it seems like, oh, you just get to lay in some water or whatever. It's a whole thing where everything is shut off. I've had most people enjoy it. I've had a couple of friends have panic attacks in there, and it's something you got to know. Your first one should be relatively short, and it takes practice. But for those of us who like it, it's the best thing in the world.
Was it The Simpsons that had the episode where somebody got put into the tank, and they didn't realize that they were like getting thrown all over the city and stuff like that? They just thought it was like a water ride, basically. Like they thought they were hallucinating all the motion that was happening.
I don't remember, but maybe that sounds like something Simpsons would do.
I feel like it was a Simpsons episode or a Beavis and Butthead episode, and I can't remember which one. It's not Family Guy. I know it's not Family Guy.
I do know the show Fringe is basically centered around it. They take LSD. I haven't done that yet and gotten in the tank, and then they can travel dimensions.
Oh.
Actually, Stranger Things does the same thing, basically.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I only made it through season 1 of Stranger Things, so... I
mean, even I think season 1 they do. They go to the upside down through the tank and stuff.
I forgot how she did it. I don't remember
gotcha.
the LSD part. So
Well, no, I don't think they gave her LSD. I think they just they didn't give a child LSD.
they did experiments on the child. Giving her LSD would not be the most surprising thing.
Yeah, they did much worse things.
Exactly.
I love Stranger Things. I will agree. Season 2 is a little bit of a slog to get through. Man, season 3 is one of my favorites. And season 4, well, you've probably already heard that song so many times for season 4 that you're sick of it. But like, season 3 is really fun.
What's funny about that song, I love the verses of that song. I don't love the chorus.
Oh yeah,
so it's like
it's the
It's the part that's played, but I feel like her voice is better as she's actually singing lyrics and like the verses, and like, yeah, it's the catchy part, but like, I dig the vibe of the choruses or the verses.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've done 15 videos about it at this point.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. I like season 3 because they spend the entire season in the mall. And the mall.
That's very much your MO. Yeah,
and it's the best place to be, man. Like they spent so much time in the mall that they actually like reconstructed a real mall for the 80s to be in. So,
dude, I gotta send you a video. I'm prefacing this of it is fucking not something you should look up to, and it will probably offend a lot of people. But it's based off of a video game called Class of '09. And it's like essentially the last days of malls being a thing and teenagers in those malls. And it is, I feel awful for laughing, but it was fucking, it's so good. So yeah, if you look that up, proceed with caution, everybody. Also problematic, that I will say, the note on IMDb for this is like, I guess at one point, Psylocke gets like knocked on her ass and you see up her skirt. And they actually said the phrase, unfortunately, there's nothing there.
Oh, jeez.
Like, somebody actually went through the effort of putting unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's not like not even in quotes, so it's like hinting at irony or something like that. Like, I think that was a legit note from somebody.
Probably, and it was made in 2009 or something.
Did they tell you when the note got added on IMDb? I don't think they
know if they did, but I'm saying like...
It would be good to know if it did.
Yeah, the person probably added it then, it'd be on brand. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that was fine. I don't have many other thoughts about this, but what about you?
I dug seeing the Brotherhood in action again. It, one thing we didn't touch on is at one point when Petro's like, "Oh, can we make this like plane fly faster?" I did really like that because he's bored out of his skull in a thing where he can't do anything. Like I from a character building perspective, it's subtle, but it's super impactful when you think about what that means to him. Like, he could have ran across the ocean to Genosha faster than the plane could get there, you know?
Yeah. And then the Evan Peters, Quicksilver could just like carry Nitro with his hand behind his head. So his neck wouldn't snap.
So he doesn't. He had to learn that the hard way, right?
Right, yeah.
Like, that went wrong at some point.
Yeah.
No. So, yeah, that was, I thought it was a good episode. It was very superhero-y. Candidly, I liked it better than the Hulk Wolverine episode, or sorry, definitely. Wolverine versus the Hulk. I like, of the three that we recorded today, it was maybe that and Hulk versus Wolverine at the top together. I wish the other one had a better story, but this one was like, this was a nice, tight little episode. So.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially now knowing Nitro's background a little bit more in the comics. That makes more sense to me. Before I was like, why do we need to know this kid? I guess we'll see later. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they do. I don't know. Like they literally put him in a tube, so we don't know if we ever see him again.
It's just very different for me seeing Nitro as a sympathetic character because he's an utter piece of shit in Civil War. So
maybe that'd be funny if they turned him into that later.
Oh yeah, that's a great thing for Nickelodeon. Blow up a fucking city or a neighborhood in Stamford, Connecticut. That'll go over well.
They already implied they were going to do it to an entire nation, so
that's true.
But anyway, well, thanks for joining us. If you have any thoughts, make sure to drop them into the comments for either the YouTube upload or official Instagram post about this episode. See, I stealthily pulled these back up.
Side note, it was not stealthy because you just got hit with white light the second that it came up.
Not just now. I mean, like, over the course of the episode, I pulled the tab back up. If you like what you heard, we'd appreciate a rating on the podcast app you're choosing. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, and CastBox. I'm going to go sleep for like 15 hours.
You should do that. You probably should.
I'm so tired.
Lucy's already ahead of you, so.